Live streaming is on.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is May the 15th, 2020, one of my favorite days because the Who song, 515 by the Who. Google that. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable. Be a unique beast. This is where the big boys play. I've got you some big boys here today, dudes. We got Kyle Kemper. He is making his return after 3 years. He was on the show 3 years ago, almost to the day. And then he hasn't been on since, the longest gap ever. But we closed the gap. And he's got some things to say about the current events. We got Phil Geiger here also. He's been on plenty. He's a regular. Adam Paul Moore is back in the house too. He's become a regular. So, I am really happy. Hello, my elite friends. I hope you have your strong hands ready. We're going to start off with a quote by Adam, not me, Adam, but the other Adam. By all historical records, the U.S. monetary dominance is due for a collapse. Oh, my God. However, I'm not sure we've ever seen a historical set of circumstances like this one we're in right now. When the other monetary hegemonies collapsed, the power and influence collapsed with them. So the question then is America's dominance in jeopardy? I don't think so. Good. I don't think so. If anything, America's dominance is at an all-time high. It's possible that the Lindy effects are even weightier in the information age. My prediction, he says, Hyperbitcoinization will happen not by a U.S. dollar collapse, but by an adoption of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin standard. It's more probable that the U.S. will remain on top and adopt Bitcoin than it is to be destroyed and be plunged into anarchy. So I'm not predicting the end of the world either. I'm glad you're not. I don't know about hyper-Bitcoinization, though. I see people addicted to the U.S. dollar, and I think you sort of see that. But elaborate on what you're saying there.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking about history, and when you have like the end of the Greco-Roman kind of era, or like the Babylonian era of dominance, things were separated by time and space. Like it was very difficult for an empire to control the barbarians to the north or whatever, because you physically had to be there. You know what I mean? You couldn't travel there in a short distance. You had to bring an army with you. The world today isn't that way. So, like if suppose the U.S. went out of favor with the rest of the world, and so we weren't, the number one superpower in the world anymore. Like, do we think that people are really going to start speaking Chinese or Russian as the dominant? Like, I think the way the information age has transformed everything, and the Lindy effect, which, in case some people might be unaware, most Bitcoiners are, but things that tend to stay in existence for a long time tend to continue into existence for a long time. Or it's a more likely predictor of the future. Like code is written in English now. All the domain names are in English. So US doesn't necessarily equal English, but with the way that the world is today, and like the America's influence on the rest of the world is just not going to go away just because their monetary policy stuff is going to go away, because there is a way to kind of jump from the US dollar to something else in a very easy way. Whereas before, if you were going to go off of the Roman dinar or whatever type of monetary unit they were using at the time, somebody had to create a whole new thing, and it would have to be imported into that society. They'd have to start using it. There'd have to be adoption. But like, people are already using Bitcoin, and they could use Bitcoin if the US dollar went away tomorrow. You could use Bitcoin, or you could use another cryptocurrency. You could use, an Excel spreadsheet for all I care. I mean, if the world decided to put one person in charge, but there is a way now for things to shift from one monetary unit to the next. If an empire like the US falls, in a way that was not possible in the past or in history. And that's kind of what I was getting at there.
Okay. Now, bigger picture here. A lot of people are seeing the United States print a lot of money. And then we got people screaming it's the end of capitalism at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of socialistic, communistic stuff going on right now.
Sure.
Are we getting closer to hyper-Bitcoinization? Do you really think that's going to happen? People are going to switch to Bitcoin? What do you think about the current state of capitalism?
I think that I'm not sure if we're gonna see like a Venezuelan or Zimbabwean type of collapse all at one time. I think you might see different like tranches or like different kind of steps into hyper-Bitcoinization. So you had 2001, you had 9/11, and then in 2008 you had the subprime mortgage crisis, and kind of even before that a little bit of the housing crisis that kind of started in 2006. And I feel that some of the malaise that we're feeling now in the economy, despite coronavirus, it is still a recovery of what was going on in 2008. So I think you might see like, you know, a bunch of inflation and then we kind of level off, and then a bunch more inflation and we level off. And so I could see like even following Plan B's kind of stock to flow model. If you take a look at it, it almost kind of follows like in a 4-year cycle, but like it's almost like we're on a 4 to 8 to 12-year cycle in the market, where you have 2000, 2001, and before that the dot-com bubble burst, and then 2008 you had a big problem. 12 years after that, now we have a big problem. So I think that it's going to be kind of like more of a step way to hyper-Bitcoinization than it will be like a all at once curve like this collapse.
All right, we covered a lot right there. So I'm going to go to Kyle. I mean, you can pick and choose from that what you want to address there. Dollar staying on top, hyper-Bitcoinization. End of capitalism, Plan B's model. Take it away, Kyle.
I don't know exactly what Plan B's model is, but I will speak to the concept of like, you know, a mass event like or radical adoption. I think we are coming towards an inflection point. If we want to call it hyper-Bitcoinization or hyper digital currency, I think we are at this inflection point right now, and we're going to see, you know, billions of wallets being adopted over the next couple of years as digital identity goes, you know, becomes mainstream, and everybody's going to need to start storing keys for that. As digital currency starts going, you know, being deployed at national levels, and do I trust these central bank digital currencies? Like hell no. Like, you know, the opportunity for permission censorable networks is huge, and that looks like what they're pushing for right now. But I think in that there is a silver lining in that by bringing people into even those systems, we're going to have, you know, that people will then more easily be able to switch into Bitcoin, and they'll effectively be backdooring it, and we'll be able to pay our taxes, you know, in Fed coin, but we'll be able to earn and store in whatever coin we want, be it Bitcoin, be it another coin. At the end of the day, what's really important about this entire like transition that we're going in is the option of choice. And, you know, I was speaking with like the guys over at Flexa Network, and what they're doing is really interesting around just the notion of me wanting to pay with whatever I want to pay, and you being able to receive whatever you want to receive. And that element of choice moves us past this era of currency domination into this era of choice. Now, will it all mean that everything's into Bitcoin? I don't think so. And I think that Bitcoin alone can't handle it. Can't, like, you know, as its own system can't deal with it all. But collectively, we have, you know, amongst many of the different alternative coins as well, and protocols, there is massive throughput for massive options and massive choice and competition. And competition is a good thing, in my opinion.
Will the United States remain dominant in the land of the fiat, though?
Is the United States currently dominant? I don't think so. I think the people in the United States are very smart, but I don't think the United States are dominant anymore. I don't think that the United States is in control of the United States. And I think that we're seeing that play out right now. And we're seeing the world that sovereign nations are no longer in control of themselves. There are elite actors operating from a deep state perspective, in my opinion, who are dictating global policy like never before, flooding the zone with correct information that is leading to policy decisions at a global scale, which, in my opinion, are completely insane.
Pound that like button. We're going to get more into that soon. Don't worry, people. Yeah, people are intrigued by that. Real quick, though, you talk about competition and bringing people, I guess, into crypto, backdoors into cryptocurrency. What do you think about Libra? I paint it positively because I think it'll bring a lot of people to Bitcoin. But what's your take on that?
Same. I mean, I think I would love for everybody to understand what Libra is and how it works, and how everybody who's investing in it are basically buying security tokens on the reserves and on the financial instruments that are part of it. By being part of that association, it's not like you're just supporting this thing. They're actually investing in interest on all the reserves that are going to be held under it. And Libra has pivoted, but Libra represents, again, one of these potentially dangerous, censorable, reversible networks. But again, it's a backdoor. As people come into that and be like, oh, do I want to just hold a pegged currency, a pegged digital currency that has an infinite supply curve, or do I want to have something that has a mathematically determined supply curve, a true scarcity model? Yeah,
it's interesting. You're speaking the truth about all of these different options, but at the same time, you're laid back. You're like, compete. Let them compete and let the people choose, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the sayings here. Compete, don't complain. I like Kyle's attitude on this. All right, Phil, take it away. We've brought up a lot of different things. I'm sure you've got some thoughts on them.
Yeah, there's a lot of topics to cover, but first I'm just going to start by asking you guys a question. Adam, are you stacking sats?
Which Adam?
Both.
Both. Of course, dude. I got more Bitcoin than I did at the beginning of the year. Yes.
Adam, too. Are you stacking sats?
Yes, I own more Bitcoin today than I have ever owned in my life.
Kyle, are you stacking sats?
I am stacking sats, but I'm also actively deploying my capital towards building.
Excellent. This is the process of hyperbitcoinization. We are currently living in it just by the fact that each one of us are converting our fiat currencies into a scarcer, a harder currency. Sure. Means that we are, propelling hyper-Bitcoinization. This is what it looks like. Some people might want it to go a little bit faster than others, but either way, the fact that all of us are holding Bitcoin, we're currently stacking more sats, means that over time, we are making decisions that are playing out at a global level, right? This is exactly what adoption looks like in a decentralized manner. It's individuals making purchases with their money. Now, I think another thing that came up that Adam Paul brought up, which I thought was great, is like, the internet right now is written in English. Like most code is in English. Well, money is also a language, but it is a language of value. And to the point earlier he spoke of, the Lindy effect is incredibly important for money because it gives you further optionality in the future if you can store value and communicate value in a language that is shared across the world. This is what Bitcoin's doing. And I think while we are living through a time period where there are competing currencies, what people are kind of recognizing is that Bitcoin's innovation wasn't the power to give everybody the ability to print currencies. It was the power to give people the option to avoid printed currencies. It was to take that power away from individuals. Now nobody can print a currency. And this is, I think, the most compelling reason for why we're seeing Bitcoin dominance continue to increase. All of us are still stacking sats. We haven't left the project, right? That fixed supply of 21 million, it's utterly rigid. It hasn't been changed in 11 years. Even if there was a bug that caused some sort of inflation, I assume also that we're all running full nodes. Well, we would be able to run software that patched that to maintain that supply of 21 million. So from my perspective, digital scarcity is a one-time phenomenon. Through individual action of selling one currency and storing value in Bitcoin, we're all living through hyper-Bitcoinization. I'm just excited to be here.
All right. We had a very exciting event earlier this week. So we have to, I want your take on it. You're talking about digital scarcity, one-time event. I love that. But Phil, what was your take on the halving?
Well, in international currency competition, there are the haves and the have-nots. Bitcoin is one of the haves. It had a halving, the third one. You know what's amazing is that after 12 years of being in existence, or 11 and a half years of being in existence, this halving occurred like 7 months sooner than was originally planned if the 10-month average had been like consistent. So the accuracy of the monetary policy has been amazing to watch. And that's despite extreme competition and exponential growth in ASIC technology. So as we're actually on this show together, an article written in collaboration between Yassine from ARK Invest and Drew Bonsall from Unchained Capital was just released about Bitcoin's ability to reject or push back against exponential changes in technology. So just the fact that we had this happening like this week and it went off without a hitch, pretty much on schedule after 11 and a half years is pretty incredible.
Are you looking forward to 2024 halving?
Oh, I'll be there. Yeah, so we were actually at an Unchained Capital team meeting during the halving. So the team meeting, of course, got a little bit off track because we were all celebrating. But I popped a bottle of champagne and had a little half a glass to celebrate.
All right, let's get Kyle's take on the halving. Any thoughts on this momentous week?
I mean, it happened according to plan. It happened 50 to 25, 12.5 to 6.25. Here we are. 3.125 is the next step, and it happened at the block time, and it did, and the network continues, and it just shows, and it's I think another like signal to the world about the way that Bitcoin's inflation policy, about general understanding about the Bitcoin inflation policy and how this is governed by like fixed logic math code, as opposed to this is trusting in code as opposed to trusting in men and trusting in circles of men. So, I'm whatever. I don't really I wasn't out there celebrating in any function. It just happened, and of course, like Bitcoin, it just happens. The transactions keep rolling, they keep happening, and but I think it's also important that as a community we have times to come together around, and this represents a very significant moment in the Bitcoin decentralized community network.
And you have been around for quite some time. Because I last time you were on the show was 3 years ago. It is quite amazing how things have changed from one halving to another, which makes you wonder what's it going to be like next time around. Technology progresses, and it's sometimes time flies by. Sometimes it's just amazing when you look back at how much has changed since then, and how the space has evolved, and
so much growth, like the infrastructure, the user base, the use cases. They continue. It feels like this like if akin it to building a house or a mansion. Like all the infrastructure, all the plumbing is in place, the walls are up. Now it's just time to finish this thing to welcome everybody in the world to it.
I'm getting interest from people I haven't heard from for a while, and I think it's because the halving has seeped into the mainstream consciousness a little bit. There were some articles about it. Have you been getting interest from people you haven't heard from for a while? I should ask Phil this too. I will, but
I do. Yeah, I have, especially given what's going on now with all the money printing and just the general sense of all the fear out there. People are looking for alternatives, and Bitcoin, as I've said forever, is one of these alternatives. Is you should everybody should be owning Bitcoin. You should own a little bit, no matter what. Like, you're taking a risk by not having exposure to Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, pound that like button. I love that line. Now, Phil, going back to you, have you had a surge in interest? I mean, there are a lot of people I've heard associated with the exchanges are really happy. Their business has been up since since the money printing began on whatever day that was, March the 12th, when insanity occurred on March the 12th. Have you been having people contact you, Phil?
Absolutely. And for your viewers out there that don't know, I work for Unchained Capital, hence the shirt. We do Bitcoin native financial services for long-term Bitcoin holders that understand, the value of private key ownership. So, we have a couple products. One is the multi-signature vault, which is great for long-term custody. And that product saw massive adoption in Q1 of 2020. It was our best quarter ever in terms of Bitcoin deposits. People are moving to Bitcoin and they want to make sure that they're secure. So yeah, I would say that the mainstream has been reaching out. We're working hard to help give people control of their own private keys and work with them through the process. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of growth. So it's pretty exciting to be around during this time period and watching this happen.
Thank you for sharing those positive statistics. That is a very good sign, and thank you for sharing that. Adam, we'll go back to you. I don't know if you've been getting inquiries or anything, but what was your take on the halving?
Yeah, this was actually my first halving since I've been a Bitcoin owner. I started getting into Bitcoin at the end of 2016. So it's been a long time coming for me because I wasn't even aware. I was aware of Bitcoin, but I wasn't in the space, so to speak, before that time. So it's been, it was really kind of interesting. I got to share it with a Zoom call with like 20 other Bitcoiners, most of whom that you would know from Twitter, and that was pretty cool. But I tweeted out something and said like I celebrated by just going about my business like Bitcoin does, and that was the remarkable thing. The fact that it's unremarkable is the remarkable thing. It just happened. There was nobody had to like, cut a red tape or like ring like the opening bell at the stock market. Like it just happened as part of the code. And so, yeah, it was interesting. It was funny. One of my friends I've been talking to about Bitcoin, he's mildly interested, but he called it the halvesies. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah,
I think we'll start calling it the halvesies from now on. But I think people generally are starting to get more aware. And I've had several people contact me within the last month or two, especially since the government started printing more money. And also people in the business space, like Phil mentioned, are more interested in it. I'm a director for a marketing company. I'm director of digital media. And we're reaching out to companies who are looking to, like financial services companies, insurance companies, any other type of company that might be involved in the financial services industry, and helping them navigate their stance and how they're going to reach potential clients who are interested in diversifying their portfolios into Bitcoin. So if anybody is interested in that, they can definitely hit me up later.
Hey, all these dudes are linked to below, by the way, so follow them on Twitter. They're great. All right, we'll stick with you, Adam. Did you hear the news that JPMorgan is going to have a banking relationship with Coinbase and Gemini? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely prefer Gemini to Coinbase. Coinbase has screwed me over more than once, and I've deleted them. And actually, I deleted them. And when I posted a video of me deleting them, I used Hotel California by the Eagles, and then like I got a DCMA takedown notice because I used a like tiny little clip of it that was like recorded from my phone, like just like the audio was like in the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I expect more of this type of thing because as we start to live through hyper-Bitcoinization, the slowly, gradually thing, people are just going to get more and more into it. And you're going to see people like there are people on the inside. I know plenty of people in the banking industry and in the financial services industry who themselves are Bitcoiners. Maybe they're in their 20s or 30s or 40s. And they, they're pushing like the big guys, the old heads to make the switch. And I think it's going to work slowly but surely. Like people who are in their 20s who've known about Bitcoin since they were watching, SpongeBob SquarePants, they're going to be the ones making the decisions for these banks. So even if they're not like a true, taco plebe, they're still they're aware of it and believe in that type of technology.
All right, I'm glad you brought up that Hotel California thing, because the YouTube algorithm, it's not even a human that does this stuff. They got rid of my whole channel. It does things like that. But anyway, we're living in an algorithm world right now where people are slaves to the algorithm, it seems like. Keep on being defiant, people. And yes, good points about JPMorgan, etc. I want your take on that, Phil. JPMorgan has a lot of people think they're the devil, and that they used to say, Jamie Dimon said horrible things about Bitcoin, and now they're going to have a banking relationship with two of the bigger American Bitcoin related companies. What's your take, Phil?
Of course they are. I mean, Bitcoin doesn't need JP Morgan, but it's becoming very, very clear that JP Morgan needs Bitcoin. And I think that that's the case internationally. Like everyone, kind of looks at Bitcoin like, oh, Bitcoin's good. This is good for Bitcoin or whatever, or they don't need Bitcoin, or Bitcoin doesn't need an ETF. Really, the opposite is true, I think. Like all of these traditional financial companies and services need Bitcoin. They haven't necessarily woken up to that fact yet, but they're starting to.
All right. Good points. Kyle, JPMorgan.
Yeah, same. Banks are going to they need clients, and there's big clients in Bitcoin, and they're going to want to be, they want to be ahead of the curve than behind it. And they're struggling to stay relevant and survive. They're being attacked. Every single one of the bank's primary businesses being attacked by innovators, and for them to stand up and say, oh, we've to make public announcements that we've taken on a client. Are you kidding me? Like, who cares? Like, get out of here. We don't need you. It's not that exciting.
Hey, I since we're talking about Coinbase here, I don't know if anybody wanted to chime in. When the price has surged lately, or when the price has dropped, we've had some turbulence. Coinbase has went down yet again. Does anyone have any thoughts about that? I mean, it's like we're back in 2016 for a second. I mean, not for a second, for more than a second. Anyone want to chime in on Coinbase going down?
I might have a thought for that. Yes. Coinbase went down. Bitcoin doesn't go down. Now, if you have control of your private keys, you always have unilateral access to your Bitcoin. So if you would like to protect your potentially multi-generational wealth from down times like Coinbase or like other exchanges might have, take control of your private keys. This is one of the powers of Bitcoin. Is there responsibility? Absolutely. Is it easy? Nope. But with great power comes great responsibility, and this new money has an entirely new set or suite of tools that you can use to protect it.
Like, boom, it's all you need.
Yeah.
Like this is a wallet. It's on your wall.
That's a wallet.
Control of it.
Yeah.
Multi-generational. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So if you'd like to avoid your funds being locked by a downtime, get in contact with me. I can help you get set up on Multi-Sig, where at any given point in time you have unilateral control. Let's do that. I want to help you.
The way Coinbase screwed me over was I had made a trade, and the trade was funded directly from my bank account. This was back in 2017, and because the way the trade happened, like it wouldn't let me trade back out of that position because like the funds had not reached Coinbase yet. So it was a gigantic trade that I really wanted to get out of, and it took me like 5 days for the funds to be settled. And by that time, the price had moved so much. The price had probably moved 30% in that time period. And it was a disaster for me.
Hey guys, that's why I say offended by selling. Never even try to sell.
I'm offended. Well, I haven't sold a single Satoshi since August for any reason at all, for any purpose. I have donated a tiny little bit, but I haven't sold anything to anyone since August.
All right, let's get into some bigger subject matters that I now that Kyle's back after 3 years, I want to hear about this media manipulation of mass consciousness. Something that you definitely know about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, with regards to, the unfolding events that we've seen, if anybody's watching and hasn't heard about Event 201, that was the pandemic simulation that happened in October. And one of the key recommendations out of it, so in October, there was a coronavirus global pandemic simulation put on by Bill Gates and company in the World Economic Forum and Johns Hopkins University, where they role played for 3.5 hours how to deal with fake news. They had everything. It was really messed up, and there were no state actors involved. It was all big corporations and NGOs and some universities. And in their recommendations that came out of it, there were 7 of them, but the 7th one specifically was, and their discussion around it was very alarming to me. Specifically, there was one line in it saying that, fighting misinformation or dealing with misinformation and disinformation is going to be one of the biggest challenges that we face. And in order to do that, in order to be on the right side of this, in order to win this battle, we're going to need to flood the zone with the correct information. And that was a statement that was brought up earlier. But this flood the zone is something that we have seen in full force. I got a message from my friend Jamie Joyce, who runs the Society Library and now has a website called COVID Convo, where they're trying to track all of the different media sources, because the same piece of information is being repeated ad nauseum across every single media outlet, and it's being hammered. And all the blue check marks out there on Twitter represent all these media organizations, and they're just hammering it too. And the lack of journalism is just it's become this childish pissing match where they're calling anybody who they don't agree with the narrative jerks, or just using personal attacks as opposed to actually engaging the debate. One of the interesting things that David Icke said was around just the notion of debate. If you can't win a debate, do not have it. And this is something that is happening now by flooding the zone with all this information and and affecting the general consciousness of society in terms of people believing, what the truth is or what the situation is. I personally feel that I just know my neighbors, nobody around us. I mean, we're a bit of a beacon of light here and spreading out high vibrations, I would say, but everybody here is very critical. All the families, all the people are very critical of the information, the beliefs that's going on. But even if we're all on board with this or all have questions, if we go to Google News or if we go to our traditional media outlets and we're just fed with this, this propaganda that drives fear and that drives this narrative of fear and this great threat of something that we need to protect ourselves from, which has resulted in us being in this lockdown state for now. I've been in it since the beginning of March. I had firsthand contact with someone. I didn't get sick. None of my family got sick. It was kind of messed up. But everything has kind of unfolded to that point, and now they've taken away so many of our basic rights and abilities and constitutional rights, and now they're starting to feed them back to us. They took away the beaches. They closed the beaches, put props up on the beaches, and then they decided, okay, we're going to open one beach and then channel everybody to this beach. So it's there's a ton of people there, but in more than just the people there, it was this new, okay, this is the new normal of helicopters, of ATVs on the beach, of gators on the beach, of loudspeakers telling people you can't sit down or lie down, just this weird kind of fear sense going on. And it was the consciousness was messed up.
And you mentioned that the name calling, grandma killer is one of the things that people use on Twitter. But what do you think? It's a herd mentality too, that people, they don't want to be called a grandma killer, so they're going to go on the side of the name calling. What's your take on the Bitcoiners and the cryptocurrency people that have joined this herd? The people who are supposed to be the most independent and outspoken. There have been some shocking revelations here.
Fear is a powerful weapon, and and you can get sucked into it. I mean, right out the gates, I was very concerned about safety and about it. But as more and more kind of information and trying to believing that I think critically about things and looking at all the sides, it became very apparent. I have no fear regarding this virus. I believe there's a clear and present danger facing society, though, and facing our rights and facing our ability to live to our highest potential right now.
Hang on to the Bitcoin, people. That's a way to protest this, but be defiant. All right, Adam, any thoughts on the fear factor or what's going on in general society today?
Oh man, like about a month ago, I was walking on a path that was part of a park, but it looked like a sidewalk because it was right next to the road. And a guy in a truck drove past me and said, "Fight the power!" Like he was in support. It was like that's what we're coming to. Like walking in a park next to a road is like an act of defiance. Of course, where we are now, the left, I said, instead of saying stay safe, I said stay unsafe, and he laughed. And it reminded me, I had a friend who every time we would leave, he would say, drive fast and take chances. And he was a family guy or whatever. And I think the purpose of it was like a little bit to like kind of change your perspective. Like if I say, oh, drive safe, whatever, you're not going to drive safe. But if I say drive fast and take chances, you're probably more likely to do the right thing because somebody put that in your head. And everybody's like, stay safe, we're all in this together. But like, if you're really in this together with me, like you'd be taking care of me. Like, but really you're telling me to stay home, lose my job, lose my business, possibly lose my house. Like Kyle mentioned, like I was initially kind of concerned, like, well, what is China not telling us? Like they're welding people into buildings and they're spraying down, like it's videos of people spraying down streets and stuff like that. Like they must know something that we don't know. But as this thing has begun to roll out, and I've known people personally who've gotten the virus and stuff, and I actually know people whose family members have died of it and stuff. I'm beginning to realize the virus itself is not a hoax. The response to it is the hoax, and I'm as careful with it as I would be. Like it's not the flu, but I'm as careful as it would be if there was something dangerous like the flu, and I'm taking necessary precautions. But I think Kyle's right. The civil liberties part of it that have been eroded, we just ate it up. Like we laid down. We did not do like the previous several months. People are talking about like in libertarian circles about like the boogaloo, and they're ready to fight for their freedoms and especially gun rights and things like that. We've completely just given up. Like I don't know where we are as a society or as a country or as a world even, but I don't know. Sorry for rambling. I'm frustrated. No, it's good. Beyond belief.
Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. I forgot to say that at the beginning of this show. That's few are engaging in personal responsibility. It seems more and more people want the government to take care of everything and to tell everyone what to do. When it all could be solved easily. If people are scared, they should stay inside. All right, Phil, any thoughts on what's going on in society today?
Well, I think that I'm not an expert in viruses. I know a little bit about Bitcoin. So what I will say is that if you're unhappy with the way that your leaders have been responding, the most effective way to take power away from them is to store your time, energy, and wealth in a currency that they cannot manipulate. It doesn't necessarily seem at first glance like the strongest form of protest, but in my mind, it is really the most powerful form of protest. Is don't give them, don't live in their bubble, right? They use the currency to be able to control, censor, and manipulate you. If you're unhappy with the service that they're providing you, exit. Now, of course, Bitcoin can't solve every problem, and Bitcoin's very volatile, so you need to, be aware of these things. But start exiting, start the process. I have been. It's been amazing for me.
I like that. That's a clear, concise answer right there. All right, let's go back to Kyle here. I want to hear about SwissKey. I need an explanation of what this SwissKey is all about.
Yeah, so if we look at like the symbol, I mean, this symbol is something you'll find at the beach. That's what the people who keep us safe are wearing when we're at the beach. Nutrition. That's a lifeguard symbol. If we look at this symbol, the inverse of it, like that's the Red Cross. The symbol of Switzerland, or Switzerland as a nation, I think is one of the most kind of sensible, forward-thinking. Their system of democracy is incredible. They actually have direct democracy where the entire country can vote 4 times a year on referendums. Anybody can queue up a referendum. The whole country will learn about it if they get the votes on it. It's really incredible. So I was over in Switzerland last year for the Crypto Valley conference, and I was there on behalf of the Canadian government as a private sector champion of industry or something like that. And I gave a talk, and I was teaching people, like, again, at these crypto conferences. It's freaking hilarious how many people are experts in crypto, but they don't have any. They don't have any on their phones. They've never done a transaction before. They have no idea. They're literally selling crypto acceptance solutions, but they don't, like, the company might, but the girl who's at the booth, she doesn't have it. She has no idea. The people working at the conferences, they have no idea. They're not getting paid in Bitcoin. They're not even getting a lesson. They're not getting a primer. We were at ETH Denver earlier this year. They had 14 food trucks, all accepting, like, the ETH Denver dollar using Fortmatic. And they were all like, okay, and it was a total nightmare how it all went down. But there was this golden opportunity to teach all of these people about, like, how easy it is to accept crypto and to use crypto. And so I just come back to usability, and it's like, this goes all the way back to 2013 when I got in this game. The very first thing is wallets. I had a Bitcoin ATM in my restaurant, and it was all about just teaching people about wallets and showing people wallets. And, an Edge wallet is one of my favorite wallets. I love Paul Pui. He's been in it since Airbits 2014. Made an amazing product. It's a great solution. And what I liked about their wallet more than most of them is that from a new user perspective, it uses a username and password as opposed to a seed mnemonic. So the seed mnemonic, I downloaded Blockstream Green the other day, and I had to write down all these just in order to set up this. Like, anybody can, if you want, try and get those 48 words. But it took 48 words to be able to accept some sort of Lightning Light Night token. It was crazy. It took me forever. I don't expect people to be able to enter this on this journey. For the mainstream users, seed mnemonics are just, in my opinion, like a non-starter. It's good to be able to export them, but they suck. And so Edge Wallet had that solved, but then the Edge experience, I had a lot of feedback for Paul, and Paul was like, you know what, Kyle, why don't you just start to white label our wallet and build on top of it and build your unified wallet? Because this is the book I wrote, which explores what's possible when we're in full control of our keys and, identity, data, and currency is all digital, and how we can achieve a seamless experience and unlock a digital golden age. And so, we did that. And then I came with Jason King, we were batting around some names and part of the journey, and we settled on SwissKey, which I think is nice because I was looking at the wallets, but there's so many wallets. Wallets don't really mean anything anymore. Like Coinbase has a wallet, like custodians, banks have wallets, Apple's got wallets, Google's got wallets. But at the core, crypto is all about keys, and you need to maintain your own keychain. And so SwissKey is effectively, an app that is a universal, vertically integrated wallet where self-custody, you're in full control of your keys. It supports multiple currencies, including Bitcoin Cash, including Bitcoin SV, including Doge, the almighty Doge, Digibyte, the list goes on, Ethereum, all the ERC20 tokens. If you don't believe in any of the other currencies, whatever, that's fine, but it's not for me to say, I'm only going to support that. Believe in choice, believe in opportunity, believe in options. So being able to support those is important. That ultimately will help. And then we hooked up with this company called Tangem that makes these physical NFC cards that generate the keys internally on the microchip and don't and you can never export the private key. So whoever has the key has the card. So these cards are effectively like a digital cash bill or crypto bill. This is an Ethereum one. We have Ethereum and Bitcoin ones. And then, so this is like a really familiar form factor by which someone can use crypto. And it works with somewhere around, oh, here it is. I got a point of sale from this company called CycleBit that makes these wireless point of sales that are merchant terminals. They also have NFC, so you can just tap and pay with this at a vendor who will have these. And this is all like kind of fresh tech. We're taking all these kind of dope solutions and bringing them underneath this brand that is SwissKey to provide a simple, accessible, and secure solution for these next billion users that we expect to come into crypto.
Dude, I am still laughing my butt off about that line where you go to the conferences and you meet the no coiners. I mean, it's so true. There's so many people in this space that are experts, but they have nothing. I don't exactly get it.
I think we talked about that last time, Adam. I think I had a tweet about like if everybody who was on Twitter had like a whole Bitcoin, like we would have run out of Bitcoins by now.
Yeah, I wish all the big talkers did actually had one whole Bitcoin. That would be great. Yeah, I do remember talking about that.
More than that, I wish that people who had Trezors and ledgers and have their savings vault had a mobile wallet as well with some carrying coin in it and actually use this and engage this more than just a speculative vehicle. Like, the hodl it mantra doesn't it doesn't serve. It's good. It's like, that's looking at crypto as just the hodl point of view, as just, okay, this is a gold, this is a savings vehicle, this is a speculative instrument, like versus it as a currency, as a transaction network. I on my car, I have, which is right behind me here. Check this thing out.
Whoa, what's going on here, man? Whoa.
Yeah, so this is my crypto car, and on the front spray painted are 3 hashtags: hodl, spendle, and givell. And it's important to hodl your savings, spendle your checkings, and givell with love is what I would I like to kind of say to people, because it's important to introduce it and to use it and to hold it. There's so many different uses for this that if we're living in hyper-Bitcoinization, it's about using it for everything. It's earning in it. Don't accept fiat payments for anything. Only accept crypto if at all possible. And if someone pays you in fiat, turn it into crypto. And as part of hyper-Bitcoinization, what Adam was saying about earlier, it's choose Bitcoin for your black, but use fiat for the credit. That's the other means of protest, is use fiat for credit. So borrow as much as you can in the fiat system and save everything you can in the crypto system.
Oh wow, baby, you are hardcore. Definitely. And yes, of course, charge everybody. Get people to pay you in Bitcoin. You see, what I have a hard time doing, I can't spend my Bitcoin. So you're a big proponent of medium of exchange, means of exchange. I can't. I'm stuck in saving.
Where can't you spend it?
No, I can't spend I only spend my fiat. I cannot. I never spent Bitcoin. I can't.
Oh, he's saying it's hard for him to spend it. Like he physically can't.
I can't do it mentally. It's if I wanted to, sure. There's a million places to do it at. There's a million places. I just can't do it.
So
I am in the savers. I am way more a saver. But hey, everybody's got their say. I mean, there's plenty of people that to love to spend it also, and people are going to spend it. And again, I encourage people to spend it by paying me that way. That's how I charge people. It's great. It's great. I just can't give it away. I love it so much.
Well, the thing have
and Adam, that's a totally natural way to handle this situation. Like imagine that you're holding 2 currencies, right? And one is actually dog crap, and the other one is a strong currency. Which currency are you going to get rid of first?
Of course.
Right? The dog crap. Like that's natural. So trying to encourage people to spend their Bitcoin, while it is I think a noble process. It's kind of fighting against human nature. So what I have found is really, really exciting about this new generation of products is they've figured out the correct alignment of incentives, which is spend fiat, stack sats, right? Like if you look at Lolly, Fold, what is it? Strike by Zap and Escher. Like these are all ways where you as a user can link a fiat bank account to spend Bitcoin, and then the merchant receives, spend fiat and the merchant receives Bitcoin. Like this is the correct alignment of incentives for today. Like, yes, we do want to be able to spend our cryptocurrency in the future, our Bitcoin in the future, when the value has increased enough where we're now like, okay, I'm comfortable with spending a little bit of this. But before that, you're kind of just fighting an uphill battle. It's a little too early. Like spend fiat, stack sats.
The problem is if I get paid in Bitcoin, then I would be spending all my Bitcoin. But the reality is the amount of Bitcoin that I hold is small in relation to my net worth, my total net worth, because I still have 401k and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's small in relation to just my normal operating expenses. I have a mortgage and kids and, car and stuff like that. Once we move into hyper-Bitcoinization, I'll be spending it all the time. And I wouldn't mind spending my Bitcoin on something if I needed to, because I see Bitcoin as money, and I use Bitcoin the same way I would use a bar of gold or cash under my mattress or something. I use it as money, and right now I use it as the savings part of my money. And I definitely would favor and do favor merchants that accept Bitcoin. And shout out to one of my friends, Bloom Audio. He's bloomaudio.com. He sells headphones, like high-end headphones. He's a hardcore Bitcoiner and accepts Bitcoin. But fundamentally, Bitcoin is money. So in any way that you would use money, which is save it, spend it, give it, that's the way you should use Bitcoin.
All right, let's. I want to go back to Phil because Kyle got to talk about what he's doing. Tell us about what any Unchained information you want to share.
Sounds good. So we've been hard at work on some pretty exciting upgrades. So just to recap, Unchained Capital is a Bitcoin native financial services provider, today offering multi-signature collaborative custody, like custody and liquidity products. So we offer loans off of your Bitcoin as collateral, and we offer vaults, which help you protect your long-term Bitcoin holdings where you hold control of the keys. And we have some great open source tools. So the next big release of ours, which should be imminently, is a massive upgrade to Caravan, which is our open source tool that allows people to build and use multi-sig addresses directly in their browser. So before this upgrade, Caravan was awesome for building single multi-sig addresses that you could use with, if you have multiple devices lying around. This upgrade is going to turn Caravan into more of a fully fledged multi-signature wallet. So it can coordinate multiple addresses at a time. This is a really, really big upgrade for Caravan, which will then be have lasting impacts to our vault service. So be on the lookout for the Caravan upgrades. I think they're going to be really exciting. We've already seen some pretty awesome use cases by lowering the barrier to entry of multi-sig. We've seen people who have never met each other in real life across the world collaborating to build multi-sig addresses and deposit Bitcoin into those addresses for a bet. So I think that's a pretty exciting use case that wasn't easily accessible before Caravan came out. So that's kind of our goal, is make multi-sig ubiquitous, teach everybody how to use it, why it's more secure. And then when you're ready for financial services, you can come to us and work with us for either your custody or liquidity needs. So yeah, Caravan's coming out. It's going to give us a lot of cool upgrades to follow.
Awesome. You guys are in motion down there. How's life in Austin? Have they lifted the restrictions?
They're starting to lift the restrictions, yeah. So I was actually walking around my neighborhood the other day, and some people were eating at a restaurant. So a few of the restaurants are opening. People are wearing masks and social distancing. But it's so nice outside that, I personally have been going out and mountain biking almost every weekend because I got to get outside and
I
social
wonder how many,
distance quickly.
I wonder how many Californians are going to end up moving to Texas after this. All right, let's go to Adam. And anything you want to promote? Anything that was left off you want to share?
No, I mentioned that I don't think maybe some people who follow me on Twitter don't know this, but I'm a digital marketer by trade, and I work for a company called Haven Media, and we do all different. We do media for insurance companies, banks, car dealerships, plastic surgeons. I mean, anything and everything. If you're looking for a media company or marketing company who understands the Bitcoin space, who understands the messaging, I mean, obviously, in the Bitcoin world, the proper messaging I think is super important, and being able to understand who it is you're trying to reach. You're trying to reach Bitcoiners. So if you're interested in that, you need help with SEO, Google pay-per-click, anything like that, definitely hit me up on Twitter. Be interested to talk with you and show you what we can do.
All right, these dudes are in motion. They're doing their thing. They're not letting any lockdown stop them. Now, I want to go back to Kyle. What's up with these? You told me about decentralized dance parties and blockchain across America RV trip. I didn't know about these things. What are these things?
So, well, let's take one at a time. So the Decentralized Dance Party is, I first learned about it at this conference called Dogecon. So Dogecon, that was kind of an unconference up in Vancouver, 2016. I met the leader, Gary LaChance, who started Decentralized Dance Party. And he's had 99 physical dance parties. And we had one to celebrate the launch of SwissKey in Zurich last summer. And what it involves is a ton of boom boxes and sound boxes. I don't have mine's, my computer's sitting on one right now, but it's an incredibly loud portable speaker. And we have an FM transmitter and broadcast out a ubiquitous signal across a local area, and just have incredible parties in public spaces, moving parties that go into fountains, through the streets, very, very respectful and high energy and positive energy. We consider the concept of capital P partying, and which is about getting dressed up, dancing your face off in a expressive format, in a safe space. Clubs suck. They're generally like, the dance floors in clubs are terrible places. They're horrible places to dance. Like, if you're a female in them, like, it's like, you're in a Shark Tank a lot of the times. And because it sucks, people end up resorting to drugs and alcohol in order to have a good time, and people end up getting wasted. And that's not partying. That's like just abusing yourself. So we take it to the streets. We have a great time, and we've been doing these since, we've done it. I think this Saturday will be the sixth Saturday in a row that we've had a virtual decentralized dance party. So we figured out the Zoom setup, where we've got a solid audio broadcast on one screen. So we've got clean audio across everything. We got a microphone. We switch around to other people. We have our spaces set up. Like, I don't know if you saw, I've got disco lights in here, and we've got an incredible dance zone here, and we're dancing all over the place and bringing together and shining lights. So that's on Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific time will be the next one. And then I just bought an RV too, which was Jason King's RV, which he did blockchain across America. So he ran from Miami to Santa Monica, and generating, raising awareness for blockchain and the homeless epidemic. So he started Sean's Outpost, which was like really OG stuff. And so we've just acquired this, and we're leaving California at the end of the month and driving up to Ottawa, Canada. So we're going to be crossing all over America in this RV with my family, and we're really excited about it, and we'll have to connect on the road.
Awesome. This dance party thing, God willing, everybody is back to physical dance parties soon. Okay, I'm glad that you do these parties, and yes, clubs do suck in many ways. I've been to many clubs, and I've had a lot of alcohol at these clubs, and when you look back on it, you realize, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done. So it's good. You're doing a good vibe there. I just hope, I understand now people are a little worried about, but we're all going to have to get in touch in person again one day. People touch seeing people in person. That's real. That's real life. Remember that, everyone. Remember that. There will be no new normal. We'll get back to dance parties.
Go see your family. If you haven't seen your family in a little bit, go see your family. Go shake hands with your neighbor. Don't go, don't be reckless, but don't be afraid of other people. I know a lot of us I know aren't afraid of other people.
Yeah, but again, what I am seeing on the street, there are people who are afraid of other people now, and that's what fear has done, and it's a freaky thing to see. It really is weird to see when you're a skinny runner like me, people jump off the sidewalk because they're scared of you now. It's very strange times indeed. But I'm glad you're doing good things, and that's awesome. You're driving across the country. You're driving more than across the country. You're getting back.
Yeah,
across the border, baby.
See what's going on out there. This is want to see it firsthand because I don't, trust what's coming through the tube.
Exactly. I would love, some of the countries that are being ripped on for doing it wrong. I want to go to Sweden right now. I want to see it for myself. But unfortunately, these countries still, every country's scared of every other country. Like you can't get into other countries now. But hey, by July, hopefully we'll have international travel again. And I want to go straight to the horse's mouth and see these places for myself. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you, Kyle, for your return. It's been awesome. Anything else to say? I'm going to give everybody one last chance before we get off the air here.
I want to say thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam and Phil as well for all coming over here and just doing what we do and doing the best we can, and being strong ambassadors for the crypto revolution.
All right, and thanks for showing us your car. That was very unpredictable. I had no idea a car would all of a sudden be revealed from behind those signs. I had no idea. That was one of the great moments in this show's history. That was awesome. All right, Adam, any closing remarks? Anything you want to add?
No, I appreciated Kyle's. I appreciated his admonition to go out and hug somebody and see your family. I've been doing that, and at first it was a little hard. It's a little hard. I think psychologically we're getting now used to not touching other people or not getting close to other people, and I think that's a bad thing. And hopefully we'll be able to overcome that soon. Hopefully it'll be easier than it was to, just lay down the way we've been doing it.
Yes. Do not blindly follow. Let's get back to normality here. Hug your neighbor. All right. Tay International just said something. Very good point, Tay, in the chat, right, that you just made. All right, we're going to leave it. If I say it, we're going to get into a whole new subject matter on here. But you are correct, Tay, or make a very good point. And finally, we'll leave it with because there's some people chatting in the chat right now. We'll leave it with Phil. What do you have to conclude on here? Leave us with some words of wisdom.
Go outside, get some vitamin D, ride your bike, but most importantly, stack some sats.
Oh, baby. That's what I like to hear. All right, dudes. Pound that like button. Check out all these guests. Follow them on Twitter. You can get in touch with them that way. They can tell you about all the cool things that they're doing. If you had questions about something they said, a product or whatever it may be. Well, all right. This Week at Bitcoin, we do it here every Friday. I'm Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister, the Disrupt Meister. Subscribe to this backup channel. Who knows? Anyway, and if you're listening to this on sportsmeister.com, thank you very much. Twitter, I'm TechBalt, TechBalt. That's where you got to go to know where you're going to hear the show at. You never know what's happening in this weird algorithm world that we're living in, when I'm going to get kicked off from what platform. And okay, so hey, everybody, Shabbat Shalom. New show here every single day. I will be back on Saturday night. Thank you very much, guests. It was a rocking time, and see you all soon.